Okay. That sounds right. Now we'll switch back to you again. Bear with me just a minute. Yeah, I think we're good now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Gary, for that wonderful introduction. And I really am excited to have everybody on this call. And I want to welcome those who listen to the recording later to this call or this masterclass as well. I'm really excited to share this information tonight because really and truly, it was one of the biggest stumbling blocks for me after I had gone through my divorce, and that is finances. You know, how do you pay bills? Had two incomes, and then now one income and a little bit, not a lot, of child support, $300 a month. And so how do I take care of all of this on this much money? So we're going to talk about that tonight. And if you do have any questions or anything, I just invite you to put them in the chat and we will address them at the end. So
excuse me, Corey, a second. We're not seeing the PowerPoint.
No, I'm going to put it on now.
Oh, okay, good.
So here we go. And here we go. All right. How smooth was that? So, you know, navigating your finances after a divorce really is challenging. As I said a few minutes ago, you know, you go from two incomes down to one income. A lot of times, you know, you still might have children at home. It's what I had initially. And there's just all kinds of expenses. And there's things that you really don't think about. I certainly didn't think about them. And I really wish I would have had somebody to help me with that. So we're going to go through that tonight. You know, after the divorce is final, finances are really challenging. It's important to get on, and it's really important to get on a firm financial foundation. We're going to talk about that in greater detail here in just a couple of minutes. But when you get on that foundation, it's going to help you be more confident about your future, and it's going to keep you from making disastrous mistakes because you'll set some goals aside and some little markers for yourself. And it gives you peace of mind because, you know, if our finances are kind of wonky, then everything else kind of goes wonky, right? So I want you to be able to plan your future, feel confident about your future, and have clarity about your future, and be able to afford and be able to purchase and do all the things that you want to do, not only for yourself, but possibly for your family. You know, solid finances help establish independence. You don't want to be dependent on things or people that are not going to be dependent, and you don't want to be dependent on your credit cards. You need to know, first of all, where you stand. It is important to be realistic about your expenses and your income. In fact, I recommend that you take out your last 6 months bank statements and go through them and figure out where you're spending your money, how much money you're spending on food and gas and entertainment and clothing, and make sure that you set money aside for insurance, for health insurance if your company isn't paying for that, for your car insurance, and renters or homeowners insurance, although homeowners insurance is a lot of times wrapped up in your house payment. So, and then also your income. You have your job and any support or settlement that came out of the divorce, you have those two things. But do you have other income coming in? Do you have income? Do you have a little side hustle where you do something that generates an income for you? Make sure that you take all of that income, and if that income that you take isn't taxed yet, be sure to set the tax money aside each and every single month. And I'm going to do a little disclaimer right now, right here. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, a financial planner. I am just going to be speaking to you from experience. I would recommend that you do speak with a financial planner or an accountant or somebody, especially when it comes to taxes. If you did get some type of a settlement, make sure that that settlement isn't taxed, or find a way to have it be taxed the least amount as possible. Then, so now after you've gone through your expenses and your income, you kind of have a picture, and you're going to be able to see where changes need to be made. Do we need to cut down on expenses? I found that I had to move into a less expensive home at that time. And so that became something that I needed to do, and find ways to cut back on utilities, and be wiser about shopping for groceries. Don't go hungry to the grocery store. That's my first tip. And then, but plan out your meals. So maybe you can make one thing that goes for 2 meals, like if you pick up one of those chickens that they have in the grocery store that's already rotisserie chicken, that can usually be a couple of meals, so figure out things like that. Maybe you'll have to cut back on eating out, maybe having to take your lunch to work with you, things like that. And then start to develop a strong foundation to build on after you've seen what changes need to be made. Then you can see your way to achieving your financial goals for your future, and have some of those goals in mind. Do you want to be taking vacation, once a year? Certainly, I'm sure you work hard for it. And so you need, set those things aside. I also recommend that you take 10% of your income and always put that into savings, so that you have at least 3 months of savings or income in savings in case anything disastrous happens. And we've certainly seen that happen over the last couple of years, haven't we? So I want you to manage your money like a boss. So I want to start with your income and expenses, and here's a monthly budget. It's just a generic budget, something that I pulled off the internet, quite frankly. But take a look in your checking account at your past expenses, as I said earlier. And I would go back 6 months and, put little categories. How much are you spending for food at the grocery store? How much are you spending for gas? How much are you spending on restaurants or entertainment or that type of thing? On clothing, on dry cleaning, if you have uniforms or something that need dry cleaning. Car insurance, life insurance, health insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance should be in your payment, unless you own your home free and clear. And then you do need a budget for that. But make sure you go through, and I know I'll be the first to admit, it was amazing to me where all my money was going. And, now it's important. I find it important to track it on a program that I have on my computer. Every month, I know what money I spent on all of these things, so that kind of keeps me in my budget, and it holds me responsible and accountable for, if I go over budget on something. So determine what expenses were needs and are wants. We need some place to live. We need to pay the utilities so that it stays nice and warm or cool in the summer. And we need to keep the lights on. We probably need internet so that we can do some work from home, or, communicate with people. Those kinds of things. You need transportation back and forth to work. So car expenses, those types of things. Wants are, going down, and man, I'd really like to have a couple of new pairs of pants or jeans or a new top. Well, is that in the budget? And again, be setting, if you don't spend money on clothing or something and it's in your budget, set that money aside for next month, and maybe you can go do a little splurge shopping, which would probably feel kind of good. And then what is your net income? Make sure that you have the taxes taken care of, because if you don't have the taxes taken care of, the IRS is going to definitely want to know what, they're going to want their share of that money. If it's not a tax deductible item, even more important to keep track of all of those things. But your net income is the income that you have coming in, less all of your, your employer will withhold everything for the government and for your state taxes if you have them. And then, but if you are self-employed or an independent contractor, you will need, again, to get with an accountant and figure out how much money you should be putting aside every single month into an account at the bank that goes to the IRS at the end of the year when you file your taxes. This will help determine your monthly budget when you have all these things lined out, and it may need to be adjusted from month to month. In the winter, sometimes utilities are higher because heating costs are higher. In the summer, they might be lower because maybe you don't need AC running all the time. You can open windows or whatever, but make sure that you're always keeping an eye on everything so that it can be adjusted, and adjust it wisely is my first thing to say. Then take a balance sheet, and again, this is just a sheet that I pulled off the internet, and you need to make a list of all the assets that you own. That is cash you have on hand and accounts receivable, and maybe accounts receivable would be your monthly, whatever you're doing on your side hustle, if you have a side hustle. If you own your own business, do you have inventory? Or your side hustle, maybe you have inventory for that. In temporary investments, things like that, and any expenses that you may have prepaid. I know in some areas you can prepay your electrical and gas bill, and water bill, I believe. So those types of things. And then anything where money is coming in, those are current assets that you need to make a list of. And then fixed assets are long-term investments, like if you have bonds or stocks or your 401k, those types of things. Land, if you own your home, real estate, things like that, and buildings, of course. And in this, if it's a commercial building and you're depreciating it, then you need to take the accumulated depreciation out of it. But if it's your home, you're actually gaining equity in the home, and so therefore you have no depreciation that you would deduct for that. So plant and equipment would be if you do own your own business, or maybe you're a carpenter, or you're a massage therapist, or someone like that. So you need to have a massage table, or you need to have tools, for whatever type of industry that you're in. And those are fixed assets. Furniture and fixtures, that's your household items. That's the lawnmower, the patio furniture. Also include in your assets any jewelry or any heirlooms, or anything that you have, any antiques, sitting around the house. Those don't necessarily go in the furniture and fixtures, because those are just like, modern time things, or like now time things. But if you have anything that you have gotten in a, in a settlement after someone has passed away as an inheritance, those things are fixed assets, and they would go there. A fixed asset is anything that you're going to maintain and hold for quite a long time, basically, is what that is. And then current liabilities on the other side, and current liabilities are your accounts payable. So that would be your utilities, any short-term notes that you have, which could be a car loan or credit cards or anything like that. In here it says current portion of long-term notes, and that might be if you have a note that right now you have to pay, like this year, $5,000 on that note, but the note is like has a balloon in 10 years or something like that, then you want to put that in your annual balance sheet and budget, so as a liability, because you have to pay that this year. Any interest that's payable, maybe you have interest only payments on something, so that's where that would go. Taxes that are payable, again, make sure that you're clear on your tax liabilities, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you have to deal with the IRS and be behind the 8 ball. Nobody wants to be behind the 8 ball with the IRS, especially in these days. So then any accrued payroll, and that would be like if you have a little side hustle and you pay someone, on the payroll, or to help you, then that would go in there. Then long-term liabilities would be your mortgage, or if you have a car loan that's out 5 years or 6 years or something like that. Let's see, maybe you bought a motor home, or any payment that's over a year long is a long-term liability. And then down here in shareholders equity and your capital stock or retained earnings that you are going to have to pay in your equity portion, that's where that would go. So I would encourage you to do this balance sheet and be really clear about where you are on your balance sheet. And then at the end, where you have total assets and your total liabilities and equity that you have to pay in, you subtract the liabilities from the total assets, and that gives you your net worth. And you add in your investment equity. So, that gives you your net worth. Your investment equity would be like how much equity you have in your home. Or if you own your car free and clear, then you have equity in your car, things like that. So those are types of things. And you know what? It doesn't have cars or any other type of things like a stamp collection or anything. Those all go under fixed assets. So, and you may have some questions about this. I'm happy to answer those at the end. So I want you to develop a winning financial strategy, because that will help you go further quicker in accomplishing some of the things that you would like to accomplish. So to increase your income, but if that's one of the things that you discover that you're going to need to do, then consider getting a second job or a side hustle that you would enjoy doing, or start shopping for a better job. Better paying job. I know currently, this is 2022, there are a lot of employers that are giving signing bonuses and incentives and paying better than they have in the past, simply because they're having a hard time finding people. So, and especially in like nursing and even teaching and a lot of other areas. So be really careful about what you're doing, so that you make sure that you have enough time, but make sure that your income is working, or is going to put you in a position to where you are being able to develop a winning financial strategy. If you have unnecessary items that you are not using that are laying around the house, then I recommend that you sell them. Go on Marketplace or Craigslist, or some of a lot of areas have other types of places where they can sell things. Put them out there to sell. If they are jewelry or heirlooms or something that you're not going to keep, or you need to get some bills paid off, then kind of weigh out what is important to you and sell the items that are unnecessary. If you have cash in or equity in stocks and bonds or other types of securities, and you need to maybe pay off your car or pay off some credit cards or pay off your lawyer, that might be a way for you to do that as well. And then the other side of that is to decrease your liabilities, maybe move into a smaller home, maybe a home that, has less overhead, for a yard and utilities and things like that, or into a smaller apartment. Downsize your car or your SUV. If you've got a brand new car and your payment is $500 a month, but your budget says you can only handle $300 a month, go to the car dealership and trade it in, or sell that car and buy a car that would be only $300 a month. Then again, cash in stocks, bonds, or other securities to pay off cars, loans, credit cards, etc., as we talked about that. And then consolidate your loans into smaller monthly payments. And if you're needing some help with that, I actually recently came across a program that I can help you out with that. And so at the end of this, there will be a link to find me at info. You can find me at info@CoreySullivan.com, and that email will go directly to me, and I can answer those questions. We'll do a time that we can talk about it. And again, not a financial planner, but I've been through all of this. So always consult with a financial professional when you're really trying to put together a financial strategy that's going to win for you. Then failing to plan is planning to fail. I don't know how many times I have thought that I was moving forward and, I kept everything up here, right? Okay, I'm going to do these things, and then that money will come in from there. And I'm going to pay off these things as a result. And then I don't write it down, and or I don't write down my monthly budget. So then I find myself at the end of the month having too much month and very little money. So I'm just encouraging you to know that failing to plan is planning to fail. And I can speak from experience. I've got several t-shirts for that. So what do you want for your future? This is where you get a chance to dream. And I want you to dream, because dreams carry us into new areas and brings us hope and excitement for our future. So what do you want for your future? I want you to, after you're done with this video or this masterclass, I'm encouraging you to sit down and just take half hour, whatever, and just dream and ask, I always, Father God, help me dream, because sometimes I get so much in the weeds of day in, day in and out stuff that I don't dream. And so I would encourage you to dream and just see what you want for your future. What did you want for your future before you were married? That's another way to go. Do you want a new home? Do you want to be taking nice vacations that are fun and relaxing? And then what do you want for your kids, for your children? Do you want them to go to college? Or, do you have a son or daughter that wants to be a doctor, wants to be an engineer, or something that's going to involve a lot of schooling? Then a college fund is probably something you need to be looking at. So I want you to start your day, or start today, in figuring out what is your plan. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can, little bits by little bits. It's like eating an elephant. You don't eat an elephant all at one time. You eat it a little bit at a time. So your future is created by what you do today, not what you do tomorrow. That's a quote from Robert Kiyosaki. He's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I would recommend that you get his book. It really is a great book to help you open your mind to different things that you would be able to do, and increase your, increase your income, help you achieve some of the dreams that you want, anything like that. And then I have a 45-minute complimentary consultation call that I would be happy to sit down with you and talk about some of these things. Again, I recommend that you go to your accountant or financial planner to really get things set in stone, but there are some things that I can help you out with in it, one of them being if you need to do some consolidation or something like that, that's an opportunity that may be available to you. So I just encourage you to click here on this and schedule that today, because again, your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. So now let it get out of this screen share. And let's see. Okay. Well, I had someone earlier say that they weren't going to be able to be on this call, and they had a question. That question, I did answer it for them because they actually reached me through email. But that question was, what is the best way to be paying off credit cards? And my recommendation is to get all your credit cards and their balances and the interest that you pay on those. And then I recommend that you take if you can sell a few things to pay off the smaller ones, that's a great thing. If not, then I recommend that you either consolidate those onto one card if you can. If not, we'll talk about that if you schedule an appointment with me. But or just start with the one that has the highest balance and the highest interest and start paying as much as you can towards that and make the minimum payments on the others. And then when that's paid off, you'll go down to the next one, and then you'll go down to the one below that, to where in a period of time you will be credit card debt free. So I hope all this information has blessed you. Again, I just really want you to be looking forward to some amazing things in your life, and develop a financial strategy so that you can build on that and attain all the goals and go on all the vacations and buy the house of your dreams and drive the car of your dreams, whatever it is. So I wish you all the best. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.
Thanks, Corey. If anyone has a brief question, we will still take questions if you have one. So just type it into the chat box. I'll give you a minute or two to do that before we wrap.
Well, I either confused everybody or they have all the answers they need.
Well, that's right. You did such a good job of explaining it. They have no need for questions.
So
exactly right. No, I think we're done. If anybody has any questions afterwards, feel free to contact myself or Corey. In fact, Corey, can I put your email in the chat box?
yeah, it's info@CoreySullivan.com, and Corey Sullivan is CoreySullivan.com.
Spell this right. So that looks right to me. info@CoreySullivan.com in the chat box. Where's that not? No.
I'll put it in. It seems to be working for me because
It's blocking me for some reason. That's probably because I didn't pay my Zoom bill. No, I did.
we wouldn't be on here.
That's true. They would have cut us off by now. Yeah. There
That's
you go.
Right.
info@CoreySullivan.com. So thank you everyone for being here today. Thank you, Corey, for a very informative and interesting talk. And we'll see you all soon.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.